Some argue that there is more than one Christian worldview, but I don't think there are as many as we might think. There aren't as many Christian worldviews as there are denominations, for instance. Most of the things that differentiate one denomination from another are much more superficial than worldview. These reside in deeper regions. So there might be only a few Christian worldviews, and there may only be one. The difference between various Christian worldviews might have a lot more to do with the influence of various cultural assumptions that are held alongside of Christian ideas than with the Christian ideas themselves. The basic error in understanding worldviews is thinking about them too narrowly. So how do we go about understanding worldviews? Although it's an old book, it's the first I read on the subject, and so I keep coming back to it. The Transforming Vision by Brian Walsh and Richard Middleton. Walsh and Middleton say there are 4 basic worldview questions. Other authors offer different questions. James Sire has 7 on his list, but because they're good for an introduction to worldview, I will go with Walsh and Middleton's 4. The 4 worldview questions are: who am I? Where am I? What's wrong? And what's the solution? Who are we is a question of origin, identity, and purpose. So how do Christians answer the question, who are we? Christians believe that all human beings were created by a loving and all-powerful God. We are created in His image, making us the most important of all the things that He made. He even invites us to participate in His work in the world. There are other worldviews in our culture, pagan worldviews. And whenever I use the word pagan, I simply mean unlit by the light of the gospel. Several of these pagan worldviews don't think that human beings are exceptional. We are on the same level as animals. To some, this means degrading human beings. To others, this means elevating animals. So then it's bad to eat bacon. There are other worldviews that accept that human beings are exceptional, but not because they're made in God's image, but because we are rational or creative or have language or whatever. The ancient Greek idea is still with us today. It answers the question, who am I, with, I am an autonomous individual. Christians believe that when God placed us in the garden, He gave us a purpose. So let's talk about human purpose. Genesis 2:15 says our task is to till it and to keep it. That is, the garden or creation. There are other articulations of human purpose in the Bible, but most of them are consistent with this injunction to till it and to keep it. There are 2 dominant worldviews in our culture that remove one or the other part of the to till it and to keep it injunction. One of these goes all in on the till it part and pushes the keep it off to the side. The other emphasizes the keep it at the expense of the till it. A truly Christian worldview understands it's our responsibility to hold both in balance. How you answer this first worldview question will have a huge effect on how you live your life. The answers to the second worldview question address the nature of the universe and ultimate reality. Christians believe that God created everything that is, and He called it all good. We also believe that everything has been twisted by the effects of humanity's rebellion against God. We call that sin. The implication is that there is nothing that is wholly evil, and nothing that is unaffected by sin. This is different than the competing worldview that says that good and evil are in balance and they are in a never-ending battle for supremacy. This pagan view of good and evil has found its way into the church. Some Christians too divide the world into good and evil. Heading the list on the good side are so-called things like Christian values and family and church and the Christian bookstore. Then there are evil things. This may include dancing, card playing, alcohol, R-rated movies, or whatever. The problem is that this gives way more credit to the devil than the Bible does. The Bible gives no credit to Satan for creating anything. The biblical idea seems to be that there is nothing in the world that is pure evil. The closest we can get to it is mostly evil. And the Bible said everything is fallen, so family and prayer and worship can't be purely good. The closest we can get is mostly good. We'll talk about this sort of thing in future videos. But this gives you an idea how pagan worldviews can wheedle their way into the way we see reality and the way we live our lives. The other worldview options in our culture for answering the where are we question: the universe is overtly hostile and we need to fight and claw our way through life. Or everything is governed by random chance. And the list goes on. How you answer this worldview question will have a huge effect on how you live your life. I think every human being understands that the world is not as it should be. Doesn't everyone ask why there is evil and suffering and injustice and death? At least they understand that there are obstacles between them and the good life, a fulfilling life. For Christians, sin is the problem, and it has affected everything. Sin is wrong action, but it's a lot more than that. It's also our condition, and the condition of creation. In the Christian worldview, everything that is wrong in the world is a result of sin. Other worldviews answer the what is wrong question differently. Some say that ignorance, superstition, and religion are the problem. Others say that the unequal distribution of wealth is the problem, or bad parenting, or capitalism, or big government, or conservatives. Everyone has some deep idea about what's wrong with the world and what should be done to fix it. How you answer this question will have a huge effect on how you live your life. So how can you fix it? How can I achieve fulfillment? Solutions might include education, science, technology, elimination of poverty, or even revolution. Christians believe that our problem is cosmic, so then the solution has to be cosmic as well. Sin and death can only be dealt with by God Himself. We believe that He entered the world as a human being and took the punishment that we deserved for our rebellion, so now we can be adopted into the family of God. And Jesus doesn't just deal with human sin and death, He redeems all of creation. How you answer the question, what is the solution, will have a huge effect on how you live your life. These are the worldview questions. And it's quite easy for most Christians to articulate the Christian answers to these 4 worldview questions. The problem is that worldviews are not just something we profess, we live them out. And how we live them out isn't nearly as easy as saying them. Those pesky pagan worldviews keep getting in there when we're not looking. Almost every video on this channel is about worldview in one way or another. So if this kind of thing interests you, please subscribe. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.